being a Christian and the way it influences my view of money has changed over the years. I must admit that early on in my Christian journey, it didn't have any impact at all. But as I've matured in my faith journey, I see that our stewardship of money is one of the greatest struggles many of us have. And yet it's the one thing that Jesus calls us to be about.
I think it definitely makes me more aware of how I spend my money. Growing up, I never gave much thought to tithing, but as an adult, my family has made sure that we've made that definitely a priority.
Well, I guess my knee-jerk thought is that related to giving in all areas of my life, being a Christian makes me be a little more conscious whenever I buy something or give something or invest in something, how it's going to impact other people or glorify God or honor God. So obviously before being a Christian, I didn't even think in those terms. Wow, yeah, that's a big question.
I think it was to help us be better stewards with our money. In 1 Timothy it says that the love of money is the root of all evil. So I think by Jesus talking about money so much, he's showing us how to use it so it doesn't become evil.
I believe Jesus said so much about money. Whenever I first heard that question, I was really surprised, actually. And then as I thought about it, it makes sense because it's just a reminder that there's something more going on here than the material. And actually, it makes me think of the verse where he also said, where my treasure is, there's where my heart is also. And so that's why I think it's so serious in all of our lives.
I think Jesus spoke so much about money because he knew this is something that people have struggled with throughout all time. I think it's part of our human nature. Sometimes we hold on to our possessions with an amazingly firm grip. Have you ever thought, I really need to downsize, only to get rid of very little? I have a perfectly fine home, car, and wardrobe, but it doesn't stop me from looking at bigger, better, prettier versions of these things and thinking, if only.
I think Jesus said so much about money because money is a struggle for everyone. Even in Jesus' day, it was a problem. And I believe Jesus knew that our love of possessions and money could pull us away from following him faithfully and really turning to God to meet all of our needs and understand that God is our provider.
I really believe this question is related to the previous one in that wherever I invest myself and put all my attention, that's where my priority is going to be. And I believe that's why it's so important that I recognize that it all belongs to God anyway. He's called me to be a steward to use it wisely. And so that's how they're related.
I first started giving to the church and other charities because it was something I was supposed to do. But I didn't do it without whining and complaining, and I wasn't behaving the way God wanted me to. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7 says, each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. So what good was my giving doing? Happily, somewhere along the way, I discovered that I wasn't going without food or clothing or shelter, and in fact, many of my wants were being taken care of as well as all of my needs. I began to wake up and really see my blessings, and also to see the needs of those around me. That's when I decided to honor God by joyfully sharing my blessings with others. After all, He gave them to me in the first place. I also found out that I can't outgive God. He continues to bless me abundantly. I only hope that I can bless others as well as He blesses me.
The connection that I see between money, possessions, and my spiritual life is that when I get caught up in too much thought and concern and worry over money, my spiritual life has decreased, and it seems like it pulls me away from God. Therefore, I need to focus on God more and what God can provide for me, and not be worried about the things of this world. money, and possessions. It's a stumbling block for many. It has been for me. And I pray that along with myself, we'll all move towards overcoming it.
When we put a bigger focus on money and possessions, I think it definitely can affect our spiritual lives. We spend more time trying to get our hands on stuff and possessions and things when we could be focusing on strengthening our spiritual walk. And we need to remember that we can't take any of our stuff with us, and a lot of times I'm guilty of forgetting that.
Jesus spoke more about money and possessions because they were the stumbling block for people in his day and for people in our day. Jesus was concerned that anything of our earthly possessions that we have might come between us in loving God and following him.
Yeah, once again, I was just really surprised the first time I ever heard that Jesus spoke more about money than other topics. And I believe it relates back to what I said before, that there's a spiritual element to all of this, that we're not born to give priority to material things in this life, and that there is something so much deeper and more important that we're to focus on. And so we honor God by giving our material things to him.